industry don't necessarily understand what that means, okay? And we can tend to turn people off with that. And every one of you is guilty of it at some point or other, okay? Yep. We've all done it, all right? So let's talk about a couple of things that we could do to improve that so that everybody can learn and see how they would put different bits into their own pitches. Is that fair enough? Mm-hmm. Like a bit of that? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing we have to understand is we need to attract attention. So it was a good stab with the turtle, but we need to make it a little bit more specific and a little bit more easily understood. Okay. So what I've done is I've looked at some of the things that are happening in my own industry, and I'm sure it's happening in most of yours as well. How many people have you seen online in the last 3 months, 4 months, who have all of a sudden become experts?
Yeah. All of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many of them? Every time you turn on your LinkedIn, there's yet another buffoon staring into their mobile phone in their living room or while they're out for a walk or whatever, giving you advice, aren't there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I saw one last week. I won't mention any names, but he was sitting at his kitchen table with a tiny little nail scissors pruning a bonsai tree, telling everybody that a bonsai tree was the way to get through COVID. What do we think of that?
Marvelous.
It's what?
Bollocks.
It's bollocks. Okay, that's what it is. All right, and the world is absolutely full of it. Okay. Now, the fact is, why am I telling you that? Because we all know it's there. We all recognize it's there, don't we? It's in the same in every industry. All these experts, right? So here's the thing I'm going to share with you that I did up to grab a little bit of attention online, okay?
Is it another fish?
Love another fish.
How about that?
Oh my God.
Now, the point is, how much attention does that grab?
A lot.
Do you think anybody will be flicking up that when they're looking at people in their kitchens? Or will that grab attention?
Yeah, but what kind of attention? That wouldn't catch my attention in a positive way.
Copyright lawyers.
Well, doesn't matter.
Copyright lawyers, Peter.
but the point is, does it say what everybody's, does it say what everybody's thinking? Are you with me? Okay. It is something that would make you stop and go, oh, I can recognize, I can see that. Everybody else is full of bollocks. You know, let's see what this is about. It may or may not grab your attention in a positive way, Louise, but what did Andy Warhol say? There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Okay? Well, I'd argue against that.
Well, this is it. Well, we'll see. But anyway, do you see the point of something that resonates? Okay. The next thing is, we see them all as well, and they put up pictures of themselves with someone else's quote. How often have you seen that one recently?
Yeah, that's
it's a picture of me, but I'm using a quote from somebody from the 1940s or from Albert Einstein or whatever, and then written in tiny little bit underneath is the name Einstein or whatever it is. We've all seen it, haven't we?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what are they proving to us? They haven't got an original thought, right? And they're not exactly spouting their own intelligence, are they? Right?
No.
So if you're going to do something like that, put a bit of humor into it. Put a bit of the situation that's out there, right? Think of all the people with the tinfoil hats that are out there at the moment, right? Spouting all this nonsense, right? How about something like that? Right? How much attention do you think that'll get for people? You with me? Okay? And it's just a little bit different. All right?
I can't wait for the podcast.
It will certainly get attention, Peter.
It's like a Westlife album cover. It's brilliant.
That's very good, yeah.
You look like Tom Cruise.
Looks like David Copperfield.
Tom's older brother, Jim.
It's incredible what Photoshop can do, isn't it? Huh? Look at this. A face like a melting basin, right? Now, so it's about grabbing the attention. The other thing that I noticed, right, and we'll see how many people notice it, is the amount of times, and you all do it as well, Jean did it a lot today. We've talked before about people and the decisions they make. What do people do? What did we talk about before, guys? What decisions do people make? What do they buy? They buy what?
Status.
What they want.
Status,
What they
an ego.
want. Remember that?
Mhm.
Now, what did we say that they don't buy?
What they need.
What they need.
I'm so impressed that I've been listening.
You're such a
And what else do they not buy?
what today? Big swat.
Finally.
They also don't buy
It
what
finally sunk
they
in.
should. Okay? Now, how many times did we hear the words need and should?
Mm.
A lot.
A lot, okay? So this is the thing. How many of you do that? How many of you sit down with someone and say, you need this?
Clearly I do.
You need this. Okay? You should have
Yeah, and
this.
sometimes I say you should, do this, or you
Yeah.
should do that, yeah.
And what does it do to people?
Pressure on them.
You're badgering them.
You're
Yeah.
badgering
lecturing
them,
them.
okay? And also what happens? You come across as what?
Pushy.
Pushy.
And what else?
Arrogant, actually.
Yeah, that's another word for that.
Rude. Ego.
I know it all.
I know it all.
And who likes to know it all?
No one.
Nobody.
You do, Peter.
Right. So this is what I'm saying, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
it does.
So it's all about turning something into something that somebody will want.
Wants.
Okay. Yeah. So how do we do that?
Ask them questions about what they want.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little suggestion here about stories and the stories that we tell. Okay.
Yeah.
And so many people talk about themselves, don't they? And they talk about, and I did this, and I did that, and I did the other, and I did this, and I did that, and look how fucking great I am, right? And again, as we've said, what does it do? It gets people's backs up, right? And we try to force something onto them, don't we? We try to force enlightenment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, when we try and force enlightenment on people, what happens?
They resist.
They resist. Okay? So the secret to it is to talk about something in such a way that they get their own epiphany.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
So what we do is we want to tell it in such a way that the person watching it or listening to it gets their own epiphany. So that they sit there and they go, oh, I want that, right? Rather than you telling them they should need it or they should have it or whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Now, one of the ways that I saw a very interesting thing there in one of the slides, which was the 3 bubbles, okay? Does anybody remember the 3 bubbles?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Knowing,
Anybody
doing,
remember
being.
what they said?
Mary
Yeah.
has it. Mary has
Knowing,
it there.
Doing, being.
Yeah.
We had what? Knowing?
Doing,
Doing. Being.
Yeah, and being. Now, what stood out to anybody about that?
That was the only slide actually, or the slide that stood out to me most in the entire thing.
Okay, right, why?
Because
Resonated.
she said, you know, it's not good enough to know the knowledge, you have to act upon it, and it just made me think about what I do and what I need to be doing, and I just struck a chord with me very strongly.
Okay, that's good. That's good. But did it really give you an epiphany?
Well, I think the problem is that if you picked it up tomorrow, you might not understand what it was.
Yes.
I think what it was actually missing is the centerpiece of the overlap that is a combination of
Now,
the 3.
that's exactly what I was going to say, Louise. Thank you for stealing my thunder and putting that in the report. Right? Now, so we do the top line. What was the word across above the 3 bubbles? Anybody remember?
Sustainability.
Sustainability. Okay. So what I would do is I would leave this word off the slide and say, we all know this, guys, don't we? If we want to improve, if we want to be better, we have to know what we're doing, don't we? We have to know. Get that? Yeah. We have to be prepared to do what's required, don't we? Yeah. And we will get to being, but how? How do we get there? So sustainability happens at the intersection between knowing, doing, and being.
Yeah, and potentially sequencing the appearance of the 3 different bubbles through the storytelling.
Yeah, and you put that in. So your big arrow. It happens at the intersection between knowing, doing, and being. Can it happen anywhere else? Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
So whenever you use that, you point out the center block, right? Put a big arrow on it and say that it only happens at the intersection of. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And then you go, so if we could get you to that point where you had the balance of the knowing, the doing, and the being, how would that make you feel? What do you think they'd say?
Great.
Yeah. Okay. Now, when they feel great about it, do you then have to ask them, do they want it?
That's right, you don't.
You don't.
The urgency's there.
Right? You've created the urgency, you've got the sale without having to ask for it. Right? Because that's the one big thing.
Peter, can I ask a question there?
Yeah.
Sorry, just, you're saying there, particularly if you're pitching and saying, well, if we can get you there or whatever, would it be too arrogant to say we can get you there?
Yes.
You need to say you can help them get there.
Okay. No.
No. What do we not use?
He doesn't like the word help.
Why? Why don't we like the word help?
I can't remember, but I know you don't like it.
Because it implies maybe it will and maybe it won't. It's a weak word. Okay? Oh, I can help do that. Can you? Really? Really? Can you? Right? So we don't use help. Okay? And I know LinkedIn is full of it. Look at the amount of people that under their name on LinkedIn have, I help people too. Do you? Really? Right? Use power words. I get people to. I create. Or whatever, right? Now, in a situation like that, because here's the thing. If you are a coach, if you are doing stuff with people, how many people are involved?
Well, for me, one. Well, there's two. There's two, or there's a team. So it depends.
No, well, there's always, it doesn't matter whether you have a team of people working on something and they're dealing with a team of people. There's always there's always the customer and there's always the seller. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And does anything, unless it's you're going in to buy a newspaper, right? Is there anything that happens singularly? No. There isn't. If you're a coach, for example, and you give somebody a set of exercises to do this week, what happens if they don't do it?
You say, good job.
They'll be held accountable, basically.
But this is what I'm saying, right? You cannot get somebody from A to B by yourself. Does that make sense? You cannot say to somebody, I will get you from here to there.
Well, they have to do the work, like there's no magic wand.
And that is why we use the question, if we could get you from here to there, how would that feel?
Yeah.
That makes sense now?
Yeah.
It is.
And they go, oh, fuck, that would feel amazing. I'll have it. right?
Okay.
Also, if you use the word how would that feel, you're more likely to get what? To get them to buy in.
Emotional connection is there.
You create the emotional connection. If they have the emotional connection, what's going to happen? They're going to put more effort into it. The more effort they put in, the better the outcome is going to be, right? But be very careful what you promise, because it's not up to you. It's only 50% up to you. In fact, I would even say it's less, okay? I'm going to give you an example, right? How many of you are familiar, it doesn't really matter where it was down at the Spa Well, I was driving past it yesterday, and they have a big ad for a new gym they have, and it said in huge letters across the sign, results-orientated gym programs.
God.
Yes.
When was the last time you wanted to join the gym so you'd get no fucking results?
Ever.
It's kind of implied in it, isn't it? So when you actually put the words that are implied in it into it, what does it do to the credibility of it?
Out the window.
It makes you start questioning it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, when you actually see, you see, I've seen it loads on LinkedIn where you have, salesperson, results oriented. Really? Really? I do off the fucking list, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Right? Because if you have to tell people about it, right? It's like, you know, when you see a website and it says, we are a creative company. What are you now guaranteed?
They're not creative.
They're not creative.
Exactly. Okay. So it's about that. It's about the understanding of what happens inside in people's heads. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Peter,
Yeah.
it'd be great if you can go to that gym, Peter. Please just go to that gym and just tell them what he does. It'd be amazing.
But I'd only end up coming out shaking my head going, the supply of foods will always outstrip the demand.
And this is why this is a safe environment. Can you imagine if he walked in and how much money he spent on that ad and they literally go, oh, sweet Lord.
Yeah.
Well, it might stop them wasting their money again. But anyway, do you see the point of what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a wonderful way. There's a wonderful way of that's an entire call to action in that. So sustainability for you will happen in the intersection between knowing, doing, and being. And if we could get you there, how would that feel? Leave it to sink in. Watch their eyes going, yeah, that'd be great. And you say, super. When would you like to start? Okay. It's actually no more difficult than that, right? Because when you do that and they have the want, you're putting you back into the position of what?
Credibility?
Credibility. It puts you into the position of power. What did we say last week was the big problem with 99% of the negotiation we see out there? It's because people come to it from a position of weakness. So here it is. What do you think? Oh, look, it's got one of them and it's got another one of them. Do you like it? Oh, will you buy it? Right? Rubbish. Okay? So this is why you take it down that route, create that want, get the imagination going. I mean, it's in there as well, isn't it? The imagination. If we could get you from here to there in the intersection of that, how would that feel? And stop. What have they just started to do?
Think about it.
And
imagine
themselves. You with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I want you to start thinking about. How can you get people to imagine and what is important? Okay? Yeah? Does this all make sense, guys?
It does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's about bringing that in. And think about, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples, right? Because nobody here sells dresses, for example, right? But so nobody can accuse me of being mean to one person or favoring another, right? But what I want you to do is picture you had a daughter, for example, getting married in 3 weeks' time or 3 months' time. And you looked in the mirror and you decide, you know what, if I was only for example, a dress size smaller, for example, and you were out looking at dresses.
I have that problem all the time.
I know, so do I. I'm sure. Look, and especially with COVID, sitting around watching TV, picking at stuff. But anyway, you know what I'm saying, right? Now, if I was to say to somebody, look, you use that exercise routine there, and in 3 months' time, you'll be able to you'll be the dress size smaller. How motivated do you think you will be to get off the couch and actually do 3 months of an hour a day or whatever it's going to take?
Not any motivated than before I met you.
No,
Exactly.
You won't be.
Exactly. Now, if I did it this way, imagine walking in to the wedding reception just before your daughter, the bride, and all the people lined up to greet you coming in. And everybody looks at you and says, wow. How would that make you feel? Now, how motivated are you going to be?
I'm ready to go to the gym right now.
Do you see
Only
the
be
power?
orientated, Lisa.
Do you see the power of the imagination?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay? And that's how you bring it in. Okay? Now, to create the imagination, to get the people to allow you to do it, you have to create the credibility. Do you see the way I keep going on about the same things? Your intro, your story, your credibility allows you to generate the imagination, which makes it all easier later. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know a couple of us, we've talked about this off air during the week. Too many people want it easy today. And what happens when you take the easy route today? What becomes hard?
Harder at the end.
To pay for it in the
becomes
future.
hard.
Yeah.
Right? But if you do the hard work today, what does tomorrow become?
Much easier.
Much easier, right? And this is why I keep banging on about this stuff with everybody, okay? Do you want to do all the hard work in the negotiation and give away all your profit in discount?
Nope.
Do you want to line it up, get all your ducks in a row and do the hard work now so that when you get to the end and you give them their price, they say, thanks, I'll take it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, great. Okay, super. So now can we see, every one of us, can we see if we were doing Jean's pitch ourselves tomorrow, can we see the bits that we would change that create that urgency, create the imagination, and create the what you call it, the imagination?
Yeah.
Am I on my own here?
Nope.
Come on, scream.
We're here.
Well, here.
Okay, so we have it, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, now, so here's the biggest problem, or the biggest question. We can see how we would make genes better. Who can tell me they can see how they'd make their own better?
Starting to think of it. Yeah.
Yeah?
Mine is
Sorry, Rob, you were going to say?
absolutely perfect because I don't have any flaws and I'm just marvelous. Problems with everybody else.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The self-delusion of youth. Into it to confuse the mind, okay? Because we've talked about this, confused mind can't buy and all that kind of stuff. So what I'd like to do is just, has anybody got any questions about this?
No, but could I make a statement?
Of course you can.
You can hear me. Okay. The turtle distracted me and the mountains. I was waiting to see, is he going to end up there somewhere? And the Himalayas, we're in Ireland. I loved the last bit about the Ireland. But I must tell a short story. 26 years ago, when I worked in Bank of Ireland, we had a staff night one night to listen to Bill Cullen's story, okay? After he wrote Penny Apples afterwards. I can still remember Bill Cullen's story as if I went that speech yesterday. He fired everybody up. He held the room spellbound about stories about Wall Street and the box to crow stand to watch that for and going back to the fire. I would ask Jean, would you remember Jean's speech in 26 years' time? it's just a little comment to make for somebody that, as I say, it's advice really, that I still remember Bill Cullen's speech 26 years later as if I heard it yesterday. Okay, for what that's worth.
So I do have to say one thing. That is a lot of pressure because, like, it's definitely the storyline, but, like, I suppose Bill Cullen is an entity in himself, and his.
We did overkill. We heard it in the late show dozens of times, but
on
as
that
regards
stage, you'd have plenty of practice and plenty of experience, and hopefully, when we're at Bill Cullen's thing, that we'll have that practice and experience, and that's why we're here, isn't it?
Yeah. Now,
can I add in something as well? Actually, if I may, actually say one thing, because ahead of preparing for today and the whole lot, I did watch Peter's last 2 videos that he did with the tips and the whole lot. And I guess I wouldn't consider myself naturally a funny person. And that is the bit I actually, mistakenly, I was trying to get with the turtle and the whole lot. So, you know, there's lots of learning lessons in there for me. If we don't consider ourselves naturally funny people and we're delivering on a serious topic, there was a conflict there for me. So yeah, a lot of work to do with it. But the challenge for me was trying to be funny and keep my audience engaged and laugh.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. It just
Jean,
didn't.
I think you're wrong. I don't think you've that much work to do at all. I think you're being too hard on yourself.
No, I agree.
We're here to pick out everything that might be a little bit weak and focus on that, and maybe only on that, because making that better is what we're about. But you did an awful lot that was extremely good. This is one of the better pitches that we've had.
It is, yeah.
And it's hard to believe that you were saying about how difficult it was, because it didn't come across like that. It came across as very, you know, great flow and
Well, I
confident.
suppose I'm very serious about my work and my job, and then the thoughts of creating this pitch where it's supposed to be funny, and you know, so as I say, there was a conflict going on in my own system with it, trying to be funny about something actually I'm generally serious about.
You should Google Rob. Rob does a great stand-up routine on cancer jokes. He's very funny.
Everybody loves the cancer jokes.
They're brilliant.
Jean, I'm like you. I'm not funny at all. But I think when you're doing that kind of pitch, and sometimes I've tried to change things for that, but I think it's when you're just the most genuine and you're so passionate and so informed about what you do.
Yeah.
That piece, I mean, the turtle piece is like kind of like the fish and Peter's thing. Don't really relate to me, but that's separate. I mean, that works for him, but it. Yeah.
And it didn't work for me, and I tried, and it didn't.
But don't worry, I think that's why this is a safe environment, that you try everything. Yeah. So you go, okay, so that one didn't work. Let me try this one. Like, I have to do another one again, and I'm dreading it. So I haven't put my hand up to when, because if you because you're so passionate about what you do, that's going to come across. As soon as you started talking about caring and people looking after themselves and how it all comes together, that shows the passion. So just focus on that, because that's what we all bought into instantly, and you can see that.
But I'm happy to say I am losing the turtle. The turtle is going, by the way.
The turtle's been killed off.
I don't know.
The Irish woods. The Irish woods had a calming influence. Keep the Irish woods.
Thank you, Bernadette.
I don't know if I would kill it off. I'd say just speak less and get to the point quicker with it.
I agree.
I think it kind of worked as a thing to, you know, because we're not talking about me, because I'm fine. I don't want to admit I have any problems. So it's great when we're talking about the turtle. You know what I mean?
Good device. Yeah.
No, but just we need to move it along a bit quicker.
Yeah, and back to what Bernadette was saying there about Bill Cullen and his story, and as you say, we've all, you know, heard it a million times, right? Personally, I think it's catastrophically boring, but and very conceited. But the point I want to make about it is,
first time you hear it,
the first time you hear it, it is kind of engaging, right? But there's a reason that we do tell stories, and I think in Jean's, now that I've heard a bit more about Jean's, here's what I would do with that, guys, right? First off, I'd start off possibly with a picture of a mountain, and just look at the thing and say, ask you a question, guys. If you were tasked with getting up that mountain, a really good one would be, say, a picture of Mount Everest, right? Because we understand that you think of Mount Everest, nearly the second thing you think of is a Sherpa. And what's a Sherpa? A Sherpa is a guide to get you up to the top. Isn't that right? Mm-hmm. So imagine you were asked tomorrow to climb Mount Everest. Would you, in any way, shape, or form, consider going up it without a guide? And everybody go, oh no. Let me tell you about the time I decided to go up a mountain without a guide. You tell a little story, because we've all done it from time to time. I've done it. I know the way. Up we march and we end up to our neck in a bog or something. It's happened to all of us, right? And if you relate back to something like that everybody can relate to, tell a quick story and say, do you know, as I sat there up to my whatever in bog water and mud, how many times I said I wished I had gotten a guide? Have you been there? Right? Now, how many people are going to go, oh, a guide's not a good idea? They're not going to do it, right? You with me? I say now, in much the same way, X, Y, and Z have happened to me over the last few years. I ended up at the bottom of the well, or I ended up at the bottom of the mountain. But I clawed my way up with my fingernails, and I've got there. But what did I learn to do along the way? I became an amazing map maker, or I became an amazing guide. And from here on in, I've dedicated my life to being that guide for other people, so that you don't end up stuck in the bog water with me. Now, what value would that have to you?
Oh, I'm in.
So do you see? That's the purpose of a story, right?
Yeah.
Now, we don't have the time anymore. This is another thing. We've talked about this, the attention span. All very well. When Bernadette and her company went into a room and the door was closed and you couldn't get out and you had to listen to Bill Cullen, right? Or you'd be beaten with a stick. Those days are gone. You have a very small window to grab people's attention online. You have to make your story succinct, make it matter, and allow people to get drawn in. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can put in a little bit and you say, I have spent the last 4 years of my life putting this together for you so that you can have it in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What value would that have to you?
Yeah, that's a lot of value.
That's huge, because that's adding credibility. You spent 4 years putting this together and researching it, and 4 years is a long time, so it's huge credibility.
Yeah.
But there's also the other side of it. It means, oh yeah, I'm going to get credit for getting what took Peter Turley 4 years. I had it done in 3 weeks. I'm going to look amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, look at all the things that it does.
3 hours for you. The way your brain works.
But anyway, does that all make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about thinking about, it's about putting it across in a way that people understand, building that value, creating the credibility through your story, okay? And be very careful of one thing, and I know we see this all the time, right? But I think in the last 4 months, more people have become accredited coaches of some shape or form or other in this country. And you see it all the time. It's not the accreditation that gives you the respect. It's not the accreditation that gives you the kudos or the credibility. It's what you've done with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw somebody recently put up a thing saying that they are now an accredited e-presenter.
What?
Yeah, that's the point. Oh, I am now qualified to present to you on Zoom. An e-presenter. As far as I'm concerned, the E stands for Aegis, right? that they paid over the money to get a piece of paper that it didn't make them any better at what they do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? It's the hours that you put in. It's the work that you put in. It's the practice that you put in that really, in my mind, gives you the credibility. Okay? Think about all the webinars. Think about all the Zoom meetings that you have gone to this week. Have any of them been like this?
No.
No. Right? Now, do I have a piece of paper that says I'm an e-presenter?
You probably don't need it, Peter.
I will never need it, right? But this is the point.
Sell you one.
We'll make you one if you want one. We'll make one.
But you see what I'm saying, right? So it's what have you done that makes you special, that got you to the top, right? And how can you use that 4 years, that 5 years, that 10 years, the blood, sweat and tears that you've put into it has got you somewhere, and how have you translated that so that it can make somebody else's life easier, faster, better, stronger, give it more status, whatever it happens to be. Does that make sense?
Question, Peter.
Yeah.
So would you, if you had, we'll say, testimonials or something there from given your Neurowellness course before in the past or whatever, and you'd all of those client testimonials, would you try to build in some little angle there, or?
Oh yeah, you can do if you've time to do it, right? See, the first thing is you should build up your credibility yourself. Okay? If you get to the end of your story, you get to the end of your presentation, and you need a testimonial to give you credibility, well then you've done a fucking shit presentation.
Okay.
So Jean, I don't think you need one there. Like, our websites need it, but you don't need it. You have so much credibility as it is, as a person, what you're talking about, that you don't need that. That's what the website is when you can't talk.
Yeah.
And Peter has brilliant examples of those testimonials and how to give them. He's got brilliant ones that he showed in one of the other sessions. But in something like that, you have so much credibility to yourself, as all of us can, like see lots of nodding heads here. Yeah. You have it, and you're passionate for that you wouldn't need one. I don't think.
Yeah. Now, what you can do, if look, there's no harm in maybe having one, right? That relates to what it is that the person, their own issue is. And you can turn around and say, but look, don't take my word for it. Look at this.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's strong. Just, if you just need that, if you have, you know, imagine you're at the edge of the cliffs of Moher and you've got your rival, your competition, right up to the edge, and all you want to do is just give that thing to just push them over the edge and say bye-bye, right? Treat your testimonial as that. It's nothing else. Does that make sense? Okay? And another thing, be very careful with testimonial. Whereas everybody, how many of you were here when I actually showed those testimonials? Were most of you here?
No.
Would anybody like to see them? To give an example of how to do them? Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a second here. I just opened this up. Sorry, I gotta go into something here.
Do you mean like how to write a testimonial, Peter, is it?
Well, how to do, not just write it, but lay it out.
Okay.
The first thing you need to know, and I'll tell you this as I'm looking for this, right? Is to know the 3 things that your ideal customer wants, right? Hang on. I just want to flick through this. So, in one of the main things I do, as you guys know, is that I do professional speaking, right? Now, there are 3 things that a speaker booker would want to know. Number 1, I'm not going to bore his audience to death. Number 2, that I'm going to be technically able to stand up on a stage without spluttering and stuttering and all that kind of stuff. And number 3, that there is substance in what I talk about, right? That I'm not just going to stand up there and give nothing for the audience. Does that make sense? Everything else is superfluous, right? Nothing else matters. But think about the, the testimonials that we see when we go on other people's websites. Oh, Michael was a great chap to work with. We had great fun every Tuesday between 4 o'clock and... Nobody cares. You with me? We want to know succinctly, and we see sometimes there's like a 500-word essay, and it says a lot, but it says nothing at the same time, right? So remembering back to the 3 things, remember what they were? Substance, engaging or entertaining, and have the quality, right? Now, what does that say? Which one of them does that relate to? Well, it's the substance, isn't it? Yeah. Can anybody be left in any question as to what I have means anything? And yet, how many words are in it? Right? It gets to the point very simply, okay? Remembering the 3-second thing. What about that one? Which of them does that actually speak to?
Memorable.
Memorable, entertaining, not going to be boring. You with me? Right?
Yeah.
And that one. Now, do I physically need to tell anybody anything more than that? Do I need any more social proof than that?
No.
No.
Right? And yes, between the three of them, they're probably shorter than any individual testimonial you normally see. You with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The next thing is, can anybody spot, we'll just leave that one there for a minute. Can you really spot anything else about it that stands out?
Can I just say though, in all of them, it doesn't say what they do. And are they not meant to say?
Say what, who do?
It says chairman.
Chairman.
Mary, these are all testimonials about Peter by these people.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I didn't understand that. Okay.
All right, okay.
That changes and everything how I read it then.
Yeah, I didn't understand it.
Sorry. Sorry, I meant to say they were all about me, right? So, but does anything else stand out to you that we don't normally see in testimonials?
The role of the person is actually the smallest.
The full name and the role of the person, does that give it credibility?
Yes.
Yet how often do we see, Joan was absolutely marvellous to deal with, said Mary from Dublin. Right? What does your subconscious brain immediately think when you see by Mary from Dublin?
Mary doesn't exist.
Exactly.
It's her mate.
That they made it up. Right? I actually saw a website the other day where they had lots of quotes and they didn't even have a first name. Here's what some of our previous clients said. Did they? Did they really? Right? But
made up.
So that gives it credibility. And here's the thing. Always remember, do you see that gentleman's job title there? Now, does that put that at quite a high level?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Okay. Now, where would that be a disadvantage to me?
If you were talking to a small company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? I've actually I know during COVID, I've missed out on a couple of bits of work that were small jobs, but I'd have taken them on during times like this. You with me? And people looked at it and went, oh, he's too advanced for us. Right?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is have a few of them in your arsenal that are related to different size companies or different types of markets, so that when you're making a presentation to a 5 or less person company, you have the relevant testimonial to put with it.
Yeah.
Sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then is there anything else that jumps out at you?
The very best, as if they've had loads of people over the years and you're the very best.
Yeah.
It's highlighted.
Yeah. Anything else?
The photographs?
The photographs.
Yeah.
What do they do for the credibility?
Make it real. Like
A real person.
Yeah.
Did you notice that the photograph is actually nearly bigger than the text on each one?
Yeah.
Okay. So by putting that in, how many things does that speak to in somebody's subconscious? It's by having a photograph that size, it's a good quality photograph. It isn't something I took on an iPhone, right? It's a professional quality photograph. That says what? That they were happy enough to supply me with a photograph to go with it. That tells us what?
That they were happy for you to share it.
That they were really happy to share it.
And they really mean what they said about you then, because they put face to what their words.
Now you have it. Okay, so these are the things we should always be thinking about when we put stuff out there, right? Now, not just testimonials, anything you put out there. Does it match? Does it line up from start to finish? Does it do what you want it to do? And is there anything that you're putting into it that's making it weaker? Or anything you're not putting into it that is making it weaker? Does that make sense? Yeah. And also, well, the other thing is, see how simple they are. Yeah, how short they are. That makes sense? Okay, great. So that's kind of where I'm saying about the putting in the, but you only use them at the very end. They have to be bought in. They have to have already said, I really like the sound of that. That would make me feel great. That would be very interesting, right? That they've bought into that level, and all you want that is to just be able to say, but you know what? I could be making all this shit up, couldn't I? Because that's what people think when they speak to somebody in sales, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what do? You address the elephant in the room. Isn't that right? Address it. So yeah, I know what you're thinking. You think this could all be made up. I just pulled this right out of my arse half an hour ago. Right? And they go, yeah, that's what we think. Can we see? But well, anyway, don't take my word for it. Here's this person. Now, what have you done? You've taken away the objection. Do you see what I'm saying?
Peter, I often, when I'm talking to people as well, say, I'm happy for you to meet one of my clients and explain, or they're happy to talk to you and you know, I'm not supposed back up, but just tell what I've done for their business. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
I wouldn't ever offer that. Right? I know a lot of people do. Here's the numbers of 3 of my clients. Give them a call. Do you know what I say when somebody says that to me? Give me the numbers of 3 other ones that you haven't slipped a brown paper envelope to. Right? There are certain things that to me set off alarm bells. You with me? So only if somebody comes to me and says, do you know what? Could you give me the names of 3 people that I could talk to? Right? But really and truly, if you've done a really, really good presentation, if you've got the right testimonial, do you really think at the end of the presentation you should have somebody saying, can I check you out?
Yeah.
I mean, really, if we were to look at ourselves in honest light, have we done the right thing if we've got to that bit? We haven't. Okay. So does that all make sense? Yeah. So what I'm saying to you there, Lisa, is the next time you do a pitch, you'll know how to do it so well you won't need to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
No pressure, Lisa.
But anyway,
I'm still not going up yet, Peter.
Sorry?
I'm still not going up yet.
Now, come on, guys, you have to take heart from Jean, who came along here today in her first go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well done.
Very good job.
Fair play, Jean.
Well done.
Well done, Jean. Thanks so much.
And she has Joanne to blame for that. That was Joanne.
You're welcome.
Twisting her arm.
Landed me right, and I wouldn't mind at the time. It's a bit like when you're a youngster or whatever, and you're dared to do something stupid, and at the time it sounds, oh yeah, cool, I'll do that, and it's only as you get closer to it and near it, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, what did I sign up for here? I've survived, and I don't need a defibrillator either. So
we're all the same, Jean.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no! Look, we've all been there. It's like that. You're dared to do something, and it seems like a great idea until you're heading over the side of the cliff with an elastic band tied around your ankle. That's a trouser filler, if ever I came across one. So look, that's where we are, guys. Have we learned something today?
Yes.
Absolutely.
What's the biggie? Somebody give me some biggies.
Emotional connection.
Okay.
How would you feel if?
Yeah. How would you feel if?
Questions is for me, because I'd never think of coming in and saying, have you looked at your finances and how does it make you feel or whatever? So that's a big one for me.
Yeah. How would you feel? How would you feel?
Yeah.
Great.
Removing the need and the should.
It's funny that you bring up that about questions. That you would never have used questions in a sales presentation. The best sales presentation I've ever done was nothing but questions. Nothing but questions.
I would do questions. I'd say, tell me your pain points and tell me what your problems are. But I'd never think of coming out from making them think about what their issues are and how we can help them with that. So, yeah.
Come here to me. Have you actually, this is to everybody, because I picked up on something there. Has anybody ever sat down with a customer and said, tell me your pain points?
No.
Actually use
not those
words.
exact words, Peter.
Okay,
No,
or
not
even
those
close to it. Because I tell you what I'd do if you said that to me, I'd stick my finger in your eye. It's
not harsh at all there, Peter.
What?
Not harsh at all there.
No.
It's called tolerance.
But the point is, always think of your thing in terms of questions. Have you ever been? What was that like? What would you have liked to have had in your pocket at that time? If you'd had that in your pocket at the time, what would that have meant to you? Really? Would that have been important? If you had it now, what value would that have to you? Do you see what I'm saying? See, guys, they're called value building questions, right? And it's when you just work on questions and let the people answer the questions in their own head, it becomes much more valuable.
Yeah.
You with me?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you remember the last time that you went out in the rain and you'd forgotten to put on waterproof mascara? And you got to the ball and you looked in and you met 50 people on the way in through the foyer. And they put you up against that wall with the adverts on it and took your picture.
Happens to me all the time.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time, Peter.
I know, it's shocking, isn't it?
You talk a lot about women and gender in your presentations. It's always about women fitting into dresses, women's shoes, women's mascara. Why are you always so focused on the women?
Because I'll tell you why.
There's men in the room too, you know, and they don't wear mascara or high heels or dresses. Well,
I do.
Not
that you know of, Louise.
We don't know. We can only see them from here. So.
Can't see their legs.
There's a couple of reasons, right? Firstly, did you know that 90% of training that happens in Ireland is almost exclusively to males? Did you know that?
No.
Almost every training I've ever gone to before I started doing it for myself, it was 80+% men in the room. And when the men who were giving the training started talking, you know what it's like, lads, when you're down in the rugby club or whatever, and they would completely ignore the ladies in the room. How do you think that made the ladies feel? And then they come away going, I didn't get it. It didn't seem to appeal. It didn't seem to relate to me in any way, shape, or form.
So I have a challenge for you then.
Yeah.
You know the way that I say that there's too many things in transformation to be able to get each point across? You're still making it about one gender, even though there's multiple in the room. So what is the language that would actually be relatable to both?
I love it.
That's a good question. You've put me on the spot. And anyway, there isn't multiple. There's only two.
So there's only two within this group. But when I'm talking about with 5 different executives, all different challenges, I find it really hard to ask a question that relates to all of them. So within this, there's only 2 that you have to deal with. And how do we find the neutral point that everyone relates to?
Well, what you can do, again, you do it with the questions. Okay? You do it with questions. And you walk in.
Shoes, dress, and mascara.
Sorry?
But shoes, dress, and mascara.
Well, I suppose you could also
but then the other time
another way.
Rolls Royce.
Yeah, I have. I've used stuff about Rolls Royces. I've done other stuff, you know. I'm only using it to make a point, right?
It could be based on your, let's say, career background. Are you engineering or is it business or, you know? Yeah, you can't really appeal to everybody, so I guess you try to get something that gets the majority of the group, because you can't appeal to everybody.
I guess, doesn't the end of it come down to it's you're appealing to someone's emotion. They want something, they need it or whatever. So it's basic emotion that they want the product. They mightn't even know that they want it at this stage, but you're trying to maybe convince them that they want it or need it, whichever.
But here's the thing. If we go right back earlier in today, right? We talk about even the fact that, remember when I said the bit about, have you looked in the mirror in the last few months? Did you feel I really should be further ahead by now, or this is getting to me, or whatever, right? What happened when I asked that question? Almost all of you saw yourselves in some way, shape, or form in that. You with me? I didn't march in saying something. 90% of people have this problem, which is what most people do when they do a presentation, isn't it? Now, the thing about it was, by doing it that way and not addressing any specific issue, almost all of you could see yourselves in it in one way, shape, or form in it. You with me? Okay. Now, when you do that and you ask that question, you come in, as you say, Louise, what did you say? 5 different executives. They could be different genders, they could be at different levels, they could have different departments, and they all have an issue. And they all want to know about their issue, don't they? Now, what happens if you decide I'm going to talk to that person about their issue, right? What's your risk?
You're alienating the other 4.
You're alienating the other 4. So what if you walk in and you say, okay, hey, it's great to be here today. Lovely to see you. Do a little bit of chit chat, whatever it is, and say, look, I'm not stupid. I know you all have your own issues. I know you all have problems. I know each one of you has a department that has an issue, whether it's a process, whether it's a cycle, whether it's a this, whether it's a that. You all have something going on that's driving you bonkers at this time right now. Am I right? What do you think 5 of their heads are going to do? Right? Yeah. And you say, you know what? 50% of the time, it's not actually the process itself. It's people that won't engage in it. 50% of the time, it's not the cycle that matters. It's the people using the cycle. 50% of the time, it's not the whatever, right? It's not the stationery. It's the people using the stationery. So if I could help with your people situation, how would that make you feel? How many of the people in the room have you got hanging on your every word?
So I'm really glad this is recorded, because the piece before where you talked about every single department having an issue that's wrecking their head right now, I'm going to take word for word exactly what you just said and repeat into one of mine, because that's actually something I've been trying to say, and you just said it in about 3 seconds. So I'm actually going to take this recording. So thank you, Peter. You're in my new pitch.
But hey, but you see what I'm saying? By the way, that's a huge thing. And I haven't, it was something I was going to talk about next week, and we may as well, the conversation has gone there, right? But that is a huge thing out there. 99.9% of all problems, all issues in business is people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right? But you don't want to come across going as a know-it-all, right? So when you say, in my experience, 50% of process problems are not process problems, they're actually people using the process. Or they're people using the this, or they're people using the machinery, or they're people using the technology. What do you think is happening in the imagination of your audience?
Well,
they're actually going, yeah, I'm in that 50%, that's me.
They're relating.
They are relating, right? Now, by saying 50%, you're giving them the option to put themselves in the box. You see, if you say 99% of people, it's a people, 99% of the time, it's a people problem. What's the chances they're going to turn around and go, how dare you pontificate to me? I'm in the 1%. Now, fix that, right? But when you go 50% of the time, in my experience, it's actually a people problem. And their engagement with it, or how they've been trained with it, or their enthusiasm for it, or their motivation for it. Do you ever find that it's similar here? What are you going to say?
Yeah.
And you see the way I didn't finish with a statement, I finished with what?
A question.
A question. Do you find it the same here? Yes. Does that affect morale? Yes.
Yes.
What would it be like if we could do something with that?
Yes.
How would that make you feel?
Great.
Good.
How soon would you like to start?
Yeah.
No, you're going to do my pitch for me, I'm telling you.
Do you see how it works? Yeah? How many people would stop and go, I don't know, how much is it? You see? And so you guide everything with questions. Questions build a value, not statements.
You talk some sense, you know that, Peter?
Sorry?
You sound surprised, Louise.
I know I was dropped on my head as an adult.
Oh, cool.
I love getting stuff wrong because that's the thing. Actually, you can throw in stuff that wakes people up, right? You know, just change a word, change something differently, right? You know, as the great philosopher Britney Spears once said, this ain't rocket surgery, right? And what do you think happens? You wake up a room, you go, did he really just say that? Right? And you can lighten the moments with stuff like that. That's why I did that about I was dropped in my head as an adult. Right? So there's lots of little things that you can throw in like that and purposely get them wrong, right? You know? Like there's nothing funnier than if you're doing a motivational speech in a school and you look out the window from the stage, you go, do you know what? It's very picture skew here. Because what does every English teacher hear somebody say when they get the first time they see picturesque written down? Oh, the child goes, oh, it's picture skew, right? So it's little things like that, and that helps you relate to people as people, okay? Always remember, what do we deal with all the time? People. You with me?
Yeah.
I'm standing here, right? How bizarre is this? If I was standing talking to you guys a year ago, we'd all be in a room somewhere. We'd be making eye contact with each other and we'd be having a bit of crack, whatever it is. I'm standing, staring into a computer. It's bizarre when you think about it, right? And because most people don't know how to deal with technology, how to interact with the technology, how to act around technology, we all see this stuff where people are going, am I on? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Are you there? Hello? Ah, yes, we can hear. Great. Okay. Is everybody on mute? Yeah, right. Would everybody turn their right? And you can see here that this is why.
How was you last week, Peter?
Sorry? Who said?
How was you last week, she said.
I'm sorry, I'm losing that. It's breaking up on me.
We're talking about you breaking up last week. You're on mute.
Okay, sorry. Right. But this is why, for example, right, climate change. It's a massive problem. It could kill us all, right? But nobody cares. Really and truly, nobody cares. Why? Because they trot out this fucking succession of muppets who stand there at the screen. Hello, you can see here from the diagram that in the height of the stratosphere thing yoke here, and it's going to create, and you just go, fucking hell, I love a biscuit, right? And this is the problem. People just don't know how to integrate technology and humans and all that kind of stuff, right? And if we could learn to do that, if we could take the time to do that, if we could take the time to learn to put everything in a human way, right? So if you were going to do a climate pitch that you wanted people to attract attention, do you still go, you can see here? Would that have any effect on people? Or would you be better off to just run and go, we're all going to die?
No, that's your fish.
But anyway, do you see what I'm saying? Put a bit of emotion into it, put a bit of life into it, put stuff into it that grabs people's attention and makes them feel part of something. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I see a lot of people are signing off now. It's 20 to 4. We've gone way over. Okay.
But it was brilliant.
It was really good.
But just to say something, to put the proof to it all of you have been coming here for week after week after week after week. Is there anything you've come across like it out there?
No.
No. And what does it make you feel? Does it make you feel like you're part of something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah? And this is what it is. What if you could make your customers feel like you feel when you're in this room?
Yeah.
How much easier would it be to do business with them?
I'd have a lot more money.
Yeah? Okay. So does that say, yeah? You with me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, guys.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Write it down.
Thank you.
Bye.
Words.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Yes,
Bye.
easy, and have a great weekend. Okay,
Thanks a
guys.
lot.
Good luck, Jim.
Bye.
See you soon.
Take care.
Good
Bye.
luck.
Bye bye.